You're so cute. Here you are.
True.
Hi, pretty girl.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Really good.
Good. We're a little bit early, a couple minutes. I'm going to push.
Done anything like that before, and I was so scared, and I had someone like all the way in Oklahoma helping me do it, and then all of a sudden all of this stuff started coming out of the closet for me and then for people that I'm close with that we had never ever shared before. And it's just, anyways, I just thought that that was really interesting because, yeah, in Utah, it's a little scary to share that stuff. You really want to make sure that you're not sharing it with the wrong person.
Yeah. Well, and if we are, then, you know, we just move on because either they're not, they just haven't found it yet. You know, they just haven't opened up to the understanding that what they really have access to. So let me give a formal welcome to this call because I am going to keep this recording and post it up on the page. So I would like to welcome everyone and thank you for supporting the first Soul Spark 7 live call that we've put out there for everyone to be able to understand who Soul Spark 7 is, what we do, and why you would want to be part of Soul Spark 7 events. And I thank all those who come on the call now and who are going to call, you know, or who are going to join us a little bit in the future, and those of you who see this recording as well once we put it on the page. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is an open forum. We want to have discussions about all things magic. We want to have a discussion talking about what kind of magical practices you're used to doing, what kind of new things might you want to know about. Did you bring any questions to the page? And, you know, what is magic and metaphysics? How does it all work together? Where is the goddess in your life? And at this point, I will ask everyone to just be aware of your background noise. And if you notice you've got a lot of background noise going on, go ahead and hit silent unless you're the one talking. And at this point, I know there was someone who was just about to make a comment, but I don't remember where we were when I cut everyone off. So whoever that was, start now. Rachel? Is it Colleen? Okay. Anytime you want to talk.
it was just a comment that it's been interesting that so many people that I have been involved with for years, it's the same exact thing. Something comes up and somebody's like, well, you do realize you could do this or do that. And I think a lot of it has just been very serendipitous, I guess you could say. My daughter actually explained to me that she had helped with some drum circles the other day, a couple months ago, but she told me this the other day. She actually had taken her therapy dog to assist the participants in the drum circle. I think it was either a grief support group or something of the like. And if people actually understood the connection of positivity and those things that actually help, and even bringing a dog that is so in touch with somebody's feelings to be able to explain that and how that can all happen. And some people are just closed off to it, and I just feel bad that they can't participate and stuff like that just because they're not open to it.
I agree. Thank you, Colleen, for sharing that. One of the things I want to address right now is actually background noise. Silence you if you have some going on. So one of the things I would like to address right now is what is magic to all the people that are on the call, and what is witchcraft? You know, what kind of belief systems do you have around the idea of a witch, a goddess, magic? What kind of things in your culture do you feel like you're battling against that have to do with these topics? Is there anyone who would like to put something out there first off? I know that there are a lot of stereotypes, right? I think someone just before we started recording the call, they mentioned, you know, people think that a witch walks around with a witch on her, or with a wart on her nose, and has all sorts of black magic and things that they're putting out there into the community that are harmful to others. And quite honestly, a witch has an interesting background to it. And if anybody really wants to understand why women have got so many things going against them in society today, it's because it's something that has been started against women with men who wanted power. And I don't mean to single out men in a way like we don't love our men, because quite frankly, we witches love our men. They're amazing people. But the feminine divine is something that runs through all of us, male or female. And when we have to battle an identity as you're a bad person, if you are paying attention to the sabbats, or if you craft up a spell to create a mantra that would be something that will be helpful for you in your own life, and that's looked upon as a bad thing, then that makes people want to pull themselves away from society, as opposed to, you know, if there's going to be punishment for doing your own good deeds, basically, then you're going to hold yourself back. But we live in a day and an age where we're not being burned at the stake, we're not being hung for our beliefs, and quite frankly, talking about the wise woman, which is the witch, was also used to be pronounced witcha. And it got turned into something evil and dark by people who wanted power over people and their land. And they wanted to make a disconnect from people who are connected to the wheel of the year, i.e. the nature, the celebration of our harvest, our planting, and our harvesting of our crops. That has so much to do with what witchcraft is about. It's when do we plant the seeds? When do we harvest what has been given to us? When do we show the gratitude for that? And then the celebrations of equinoxes, you know, the sun, and then the solstices. So the sun is farthest away from the earth in the wintertime, and it's closest to the earth in the summertime. So it's about the sabbats. It's also about creating tinctures. It's about going out and gathering the flowers. It's about paying attention to the elements that are around you, earth, air, water, fire. It's about paying attention to the symbols that are out in nature and how nature is always speaking to us. Literally, witcha meant wise one. And then it got turned into something dark in the Dark Ages. And quite funny to me to this day, especially now, because through the Temple of Witchcraft and Christopher Penczak, I have earned my 5th degree as a high priestess in witchcraft. And what that has meant to me is that I study the astrology, I understand the moon, the sun, the planets. I understand numerology and gematria. I understand Kabbalah and the tarot and Jewish mysticism. And I understand how plant medicine works in my body. And I understand how to do a simple candle magic spell. And I have never come across anything that is dark and diminishing to anybody. In fact, it's quite opposite. It's so full of light and so full of love and honor for nature and for all things connected. The synchronicities of all of us together are what show up when you actually study the goddess, or you study into Wicca, or you study into witchcraft. I also feel that everything can have a dark side, right? It's what you decide to apply to something. I mean, for goodness sakes, religion can have a dark side. We see that all the time. Government can have a dark side. We see that. And, you know, people can do dark things with magic, but that's not what the choice is of Soul Spark 7. And Soul Spark 7 is very much equipped to guide you through all things mystical, metaphysical, and magical. And so really tonight, since I've kind of opened up with 10 minutes now of talking, I would love to have some questions. I would love to have some commentary so that we have some feedback from all of you on the call. So whoever would like to go, I would love you to take yourself off silent and pose a question out there or comment. What do you know about magic?
True.
Yes.
Okay, we met in November of last year, and exactly what you're saying, we started talking about it, and I was introduced to magic basically from childhood, and I was always afraid. I was always afraid of touching into that power because of thinking it was going to go into the dark side. And then meeting you, all you have expressed is love and teaching. You are a fabulous teacher. And it's just been amazing to me when it's just brushed off that black part of it for me, the scariness, you know, the like, oh, am I going to burn in hell for even trying to do anything with it? So I want to thank you right off for that. But just by being around you and knowing you, you've just given so much. So I just want to say thank you for that. And you're so right about how you just put out the good and keep off the bad. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I know I speak for Soul Spark 7 when I say that we wholeheartedly know that what you give out into the world is what you're going to receive back. And if you want to go out into the world and be an empowered person who is creating the life of your dreams with the joys, inner joys as well as outer expression of joy, then the things that you study, the things that you bring about in your life and the choices you make are going to influence the direction and the path in your life. And so, you know, meaning to do harm or being involved in something that is dark or harmful to others will only bring continual hurt to yourself. So it only makes sense that I would not want to bring the wrath, anything back to myself or to any of my companies. And here we are, you know, wanting to share the light of what actually Soul Spark 7 is. Many times people will say, well, what is Soul Spark 7? And it's been interesting because we have had, we know what we are and we know who we are, and yet having words to put it down for people to understand has been a little bit of a challenge. And Autumn recently came up with metaphysics. You know, we teach metaphysics. And then I said, yeah, and we're also mystical and we teach about mysticism. And Star says, and we teach magic. And so here we have a new brand for ourselves, a real clear brand and a real clear direction. And we just intend to shine so much light out there so that people are not afraid of tapping into their own inner powers and the powers of Jesus and the powers of God and the powers of all the deities and gods and goddesses that came before and the powers of the plants. And it just goes on because everything's connected. It's all synchronistic. There's nothing that's disconnected from us.
Can I ask a question about, so I have a mentor. I was mentioning that there's a gal from Oklahoma who is helping me with the, with the cleanse. And do you guys study, well, first I'll ask, do you guys study or know about the human design?
Yes.
Those kind of charts? Okay, so I am a projector. And one thing that I've really started, and I just learned this maybe 2 weeks ago, like I'm telling you, things have been coming at me so quickly. I'm so new to all of this. Like I dabbled around in it when I was younger, but I have a really bad feeling that I like messed up really bad. So I got really weird about it and I wouldn't do anything about it. But then this happening, this like entity, this imp was in my house and it was just like plaguing me. And so I had to do something about it. And as a projector, like I have to wait for the invitation, right? And that was something that really resonated with me when I read that about myself, because I had already noticed that if I tried too hard, it would not happen. Like, and I was just like, I mean, I'm telling you, like, I literally am just wanting it too bad. And that's why it won't happen. And I'm trying to make it happen instead of just being patient. And so that really, so this girl actually I had to wait for like 3 weeks for her to give me the invitation to like mentor me. And then we were talking yesterday and she thinks that I'm astro projecting in my dreams. She didn't have a chance. We were texting and she was busy and she didn't really have a chance to go very in depth with me. Is that something that you guys can touch on, that anyone here can touch on, or you personally?
Sure. I think there's probably a couple of us here that can talk about astral projection. So astral projection, I think when we sleep is something that is fairly common. Now, whether we are aware of where we're projecting to or not is, you know, another part of that. There's also conscious astral projection, you know, the intention or meaning to take your spirit from your body and move it out into the universe in different places or to other universes, because we're not the universe.
I can tap into that pretty easily when I'm awake. Like I really can. Like I go and like scan my house every night by astral projecting. Like I just like literally walk around the house while I'm laying in bed. And I love that. And I love that I've actually been really secretive about that in my life until recently. But in my dreams, I'm noticing that the dreams where we're talking about that she thinks I'm astral projecting are the ones that I can barely remember. And I'm like, no. And I just don't, I would love to be able to understand how to work that better. Does it just take practice, or what is?
It definitely takes practice, and it takes, I would say, a daily practice for yourself of putting light into your own soul, your own essence of who you are. So one of the things that is a really handy thing to learn to do is called the circulation of the body of light. And with the circulation of body of light, you literally bring light down from the heavens and circulate it around your body in a, like, from the back of you up for the front of you, right? So you're visualizing this. And then you bring light again, and it's going around your head clockwise, like around your body clockwise. So you now have it going on the outsides of your body. And then you bring one more ray of light down, and it goes horizontally around your body. And then you actually practice seeing and visualizing and breathing through those three lights. They're all white light, circulating your body at the same time. And it becomes as much of a meditation as the astral projection can be. When you do that, you will actually strengthen your spiritual vessel, your ability to hold on to the memory as you're moving through that astral projection.
I can feel it. When you were explaining it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it real quick so I can understand what. And I seriously like had tears in my eyes at the end. I was like, that was amazing. Like that felt so good.
Well, good. Yeah. Just remember, you know, the three rays of light, white light that come down, and they each circulate your body simultaneously. Bring them one in at a time. And as you breathe and go into that meditation, but if you practice that daily, especially daily, even 2 times a day or more, whatever, but that can actually be a tool to actually astral project out once you strengthen that body more. So consciously astrally projecting.
And what, is there anything that I can expect from astral projecting? Like I really honestly like basically only know the word as far as dreaming it goes. Like she was saying something about that because the first thing she asked me when we talked, she goes, oh, can you see the future in your dreams? And I've definitely had dreams where I'm like, or like deja vu, quote unquote, where I'm like, that was not deja vu. I dreamed about that like 2 years ago, you know? And so she was kind of bringing it up along those lines, as if she was indicating almost as if I could tell the future with it or something. And I was like, I guess because I'm so new to this, I can't even like wrap my head around being someone that can do that, you know?
So this is interesting because I do the same kind of dream deja vu where I say, oh, I dreamed that a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago. I do that same thing. And the fact that in the human design, you're a projector and you're astrally projecting. And I know that projector in human design has a little bit of a different meaning. You have to be invited in. Yeah. So I think those things are synchronistic and interesting. But in your question about what else you can do with astral projection, you can do anything. You can travel the universes. You can go past, present, and future. The physical body is the only limitation we have. Our soul and our spirit are actually capable. What becomes the practice is the ability to actually hone that light and that strength with you, with yourself. And that one tool that I gave you is just one. There are many tools, but that's an easy one to tell you to strengthen that within yourself so that you can consciously project in dream time or physical time. So yeah, good for you. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to those who just joined us. Thank you for being here. We just finished talking a little bit about astral projection, and I gave a little bit of a history on magic. Is there something that somebody else would like to ask? Autumn is on the call too, and we have many of us here with lots of information, so ask away. But don't all ask at once, right? Don't leave me hanging here on this page.
There is one thing that I can add to that astral projection question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A lot of times if you get out into the universe and you're purposely doing the projection, if you look down, you will see yourself connected to a golden thread. Have you ever seen that, Rachel?
No, I just became aware of the fact that it was like a possibility this morning.
Okay.
So,
So if you can tell yourself before you go to sleep that you would like some proof that you're actually doing this, and you can program your mind to look around yourself. This is a simple thing to remember, to look around yourself, and you'll notice a golden cord that connects to your solar plexus, and you'll actually see it going up into the universe. And they say that this is the connection to the divine spirit. I've seen that cord myself when I have done astral projection on purpose. So it's like a validation that you're actually doing it.
you're like, yep, there it is. That's interesting. That for some reason that's like vaguely bringing up a memory, but I can't like place it, like about the golden cord. And it was a personal, it may have actually been in one of my dreams last night, but not that I saw, is that someone was talking about it. But
Okay.
my dreams
Has
were
anyone seen that?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, we are so unlimited in what we're capable of doing. And yet we believe we have no capacities for things that seem and have been labeled as strange, right? And yet this is what we want to bring forth. We want to bring to the light that we are all capable of astral projection. We're all capable of creating the life and the joy that we want to have in it. And there are certain practices and circumstances that we set up for ourselves in order for that to take place. And studying into the mysteries is what they're generally called. Studying into astrology, studying, oh my gosh, the world is just limited on the information that is out there for us. But, you know, opening the doorway and getting yourself out of the fear that you're doing something harmful to yourself or to others is a big, huge part of making that success and that empowerment happen. And, you know, being willing to say, gosh, what are the signs in my astrology? What does an astrology chart look like? How come the stars are called celestials, and how do they influence me? For just some basic ideas. Most people are a little bit willing to talk about astrology, and most people are a little bit willing to burn some incense and some candles and maybe say a few mantra words and feel okay about that. And, you know, in essence of it all, like when you start to understand the moon, I mean, Kim is on the page right now, and she just made her first moon water. And if she would, I would love for her to share with you her first experience of tapping into that amazing energy of the moon at that time and what her intention was behind that. Would you do that, Kim?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I love that I could have a conversation with Autumn, and I had no idea about the copper or about the silver money, or I always knew about intention. And I continue to hear from all three of you the intention of your water and keeping it in the dark, and having magical experiences is also knowing the things that you can do. And I think that's where, I don't know, I've fallen a little bit short. And so the experience was really fun. So when I took my moon water down to the lake, it just was so much fun because the intention that was on there was healing and clarity and making it just a clearer lake, and playfulness I put. And so just knowing the ways to care for your moon water, I think, is extremely important also. And I appreciate the sharing that has been done, again, through the three of you. You have been such a great resource for me. And I'm so excited. I've got spring water again. I'm waiting for the next moon on the 14th. And when I do my retreat, there'll be another moon, and I'm going to do some moon water for the ladies in my retreat. So is that kind of what you wanted to hear?
Yeah. And also, I called on you to talk about the water, because that's just one aspect of your focus in your life right now. But I know that you have so many things that you've been, putting into practice the last few months.
Okay. Right.
And, it's like, so you have this water, and now you're like, every month I'm going to create some new water. And tell us, like, if for those on the call who maybe wouldn't know why you would want to create moon water, tell us what you've learned about why you create your moon water.
Because then I drink it and I spray it on me, and it has the intention of, I'm now learning about the waxing and the waning and those types of things. And it just is all based in intention. Again, some of you have heard about this. I am creating around $700,000 because I live in Kayenta. And so I have 230 of it so far. And I mean, I'm like, how the hell did I create $230,000? Well, I did courage over comfort. And I just threw out that intention. And so now I'm just kind of like, all right, so where's the other 500,000 going to come from? So I have a clear intention. I live in Kayenta. Whenever that is when it happens. And I've got a vision board going on. I've got my sweetheart Annie involved. And I spray myself with it and I drink it every single day.
That is so fantastic, because that's really what we're talking about when I say, what is magic? Magic is you harnessing the intention of what you want to create in your life and then doing something about it, taking action. You probably also light some candles. You probably have some words that you say. You probably have an altar. I have multiple altars in my room here, and I put intention into my life, and I know that all of Soul Spark 7, and we have a private group that's called the Sister Tribe, the Soul Spark 7 Sister Tribe. We just renamed it, so I got stuck on my words for a second. And, with that, we are teaching women how to hold that empowerment, how to stand up and be the magic in their life that they want to see happen. And, that comes from the water you put into your body, the stones or the crystals that you gather and hang on, the type of altar. An altar, let's talk about an altar for just a second. Sometimes, we've seen altars connected to religion. And sometimes we've seen altars or been told, sacrificial altar, right? But the whole idea of the altar is that it alters the space that you're in. It alters your consciousness. And the intention that you put on your altar is what helps create that. So there are times when I have altars for sending blessings to all those people that I know who have been ill. I have different types of stones and crystals and candles that I put on that altar, and I say a few nice words, and I put my attention to that altar for a few minutes each day. It doesn't take a lot. A couple is all it takes, right? But I just bring my attention and put my intention to send that energy out, because everything is energy and energy is everything. So if I am putting my intentions into something, that's an energy. And if I'm also putting crappy thoughts into something, that's an energy. If I'm always seeing myself as a victim and shit is always happening in my life, come back to the intention and the energy. Even if it's an unconscious intention, it's still an intention. So we're teaching how to come about in your life and take a hold of things and the way that you want them to go. Rachel talked about house clearing just a few minutes ago and entities. I would love to venture down that path just a little bit, because house clearing, office clearing, every time you move into a new space, somebody else's energy's been there. And if time is not a real thing, so past, present, and future exist all at the same moment, then I want to be sure to clear the energies in that house or in that office or that space. I'm going to use sage. I'm going to smudge it. I'm going to use some salt. I'm going to use fire in the form of candle, and I'm going to go through the home with prayer. and I'm going to bring the 5 elements into that home and put my intention in that space. So again, there's so many things that sometimes people think magic and witchcraft are just about harming somebody because, you know, movies like to make us think that that's what's happening, but it's not. It's about holding, you know, I have a hair salon, and in my salon every morning I do a short ritual before I start work. I call upon, in the Jewish God names, I call upon the Jewish gods from each direction. I light a candle, I light an incense. I ask that anyone who come into the space leave feeling more enlightened than when they entered, or feeling more joy, or whatever I put my intention to. I'm creating magic every day. I'm not hurting people with my magic. And as a witch, I'm certainly not hurting people. I'm only healing people. So a couple more things I brought up. Do you have questions about altars? Do you have comments or anything about clearing space that you would like to talk more about? Or has something else come up for you since we've been talking? Go ahead. Anybody talk?
Well, I'm going to jump in on the altar thing because I really wasn't sure of it. And growing up Catholic, I mean, like you were saying, I never really connected the altar with the altar in the Catholic Church. But when I first made my altar, it was like almost like a being. It started, you could feel the power coming back, and it was growing. And it was like calling for something to be put in a specific place. And I found that fascinating because I'm normally like, no, this has to be like a book here or something here. But the altar like almost told me what it wanted to grow. And then as I was feeding the altar, it was giving back to me happiness, how I start my morning, and then how things happen throughout the day, the week, the month, and I'm waiting for the year to round out. And just, I don't know, I just can't wait to see what it develops into by the end of the year. That's my take on the altar.
That is a great share, because you're right. It is a living construct. It's something
Yes.
that we create, and it becomes a construct of our mind and our intention, and it sends energy out there, and it holds space for the energy that we intend to create in our lives. You know?
It does. Sorry.
No,
I just
yeah,
got
you're
excited.
great. I'm happy to have you jump in. Anybody jump in anytime. Does anybody got questions? Oh, yeah.
What I'm having a hard time right now with is finding the materials that I need. As in white sage, as in what's the grass one? What is mugwort? I'm having a challenge as to how do I find all of this stuff to do some of those things. I mean, like you and I talked, and by the way, Missy, here's a plug for Drew. She ran my bars, and I can't tell you how calm my mind has been, Drew. It just, I sit quietly without all the junk inside of me. Thank you so much. We get to do that on a quarterly basis. That was amazing. Thank you. But I'm just like, you know, like the rocks, like I said to you, I want some of those tourmite. Am I saying it correctly? Tourmaline, thank you. And you gave me some, and then I purchased some on Amazon, and then I just drummed it and all that type of stuff. But I'm having a hard time finding stuff. Can any of you assist me with that?
I can. Absolutely. Through the Temple of Witchcraft, I have multiple lists of places back east I'll be happy to share with you. And I see Colleen had some stuff to say too. Jump in there, Colleen.
As far as crystals, rocks, etc., I'm so excited to be back in the Utah County area just because it's impossible to find anything where I'm at. But there is a crystal shop in Pleasant Grove in between. It's just north of the fairgrounds on State Road right there. The new strip mall kind of that's gone in, it's across from the car dealership, but for the life of me I can't remember what the name is, but if you drive right in there, it's a crystal shop. They have an amazing selection, and it's not super expensive by any means. I'm actually 5 to 10 miles east of the Apache Indian Reservation, and so we live in the middle of the dirt presently. There's really nothing out here. So that is an awesome place to go. I've also noticed that in some of your health food stores up there, they also do carry some of your sage and those types of things, at least where I've been able to find up there. But also Amazon has been great. There's also the lists on the Wiccan websites, and the temple that you've mentioned. I just ordered a book from the first series, The Inner Temple. But yeah, I noticed they also had a bunch of different resource sites listed. So that's always a good, I'm glad there's so much more available as far as where to go and find, and explanation of what things work with as well, in addition to just listing, oh, hey, do you want tourmaline? Do you want amethyst? Do you want sodalite? You know, they'll actually give you some ideas of what those items can be used for and what energies they work with.
Thank you.
Cool.
So
Thank
some
you.
of the places that you were mentioning, the Crystal Ray is the one in Pleasant Grove. And then you have Omni in Orem on Geneva Road. And then of course you have the Lotus in Salt Lake, Draper area. And you've got, oh my gosh, there's a couple witch stores, quite a few in the Sugar House area. And so
Yeah, I was going to mention the witch stores in the Sugar House area, and then Dancing Crane in Salt Lake in the Sugar House area as well basically has a lot of really good stuff, and they have a lot of people there to help you talk about the stuff. They have even different kinds of sage, and I believe you can order their stuff online as well.
those are
Yeah,
great
because
resources.
I'm looking for fresh stuff. And so like fresh sage and to grow and research, which is also fun too, to do the research around stuff.
Yeah,
You
that's,
know?
I was going to ask you, can you grow it or harvest it naturally from anywhere? That's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. The white sage grows better in the desert where it's really hot, like Phoenix and places like that, which I'm going to be in September. So
We have
I thought
lots here, lots and lots here.
Yeah.
Oh, we have lots of white sage here.
In my area of Arizona, yes, we have lots.
Oh, very good.
In fact,
So
I'm
that's
smelling all of it right now because it's monsoon season and it's drowning us outside, but it's a wonderful smell.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's specific sages, and that's just something that has been just so amazing to me, is the specifics of things. Sometimes I'm a little overwhelmed about all how things get to be specific, and then sometimes I'm reminded to just, oh, quit worrying about it, Kim, and just use your beautiful sage that you got up at the cabin from the sage brush. Use it.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
It's intention, really. You know, it's nice to
Yes.
have those things that are suggested.
Yes.
But really it's intention that's behind it too. It's what you put
Yeah.
with it and what you mix together. Having some knowledge about all of it is how the whole process works, you know, like really understanding that the plant medicine is affected by the astrological medicine, is affected by the seven rays medicine, is affected, you know.
Yes.
It just
yes.
goes on and on and on, you know, and you
Right.
can create, that's why it's so endless. It's literally, magic is an endless process that just gives and gives and gives. And we have so much wisdom. And that's why witches are called the wise ones, because they spent their entire being, their entire life gathering these resources and gathering this information so that they could heal the villages, heal the people, deliver the babies, and, you know, continue this tradition is where we're at today. We're carrying on with the wise. This has been part, Autumn and Star and I have been studying this for over 30 years, each of us. And so we've had a lot of time to gain a lot of knowledge, and sometimes, you know, sharing all that we know is overwhelming to everybody that we're bringing in. And so we have to bring ourselves, you know, down a few notches and remember, you know, 30 years ago, what did we want to know and where were we at? So yeah, it's amazing. Has anybody else got some things they want to talk about? Autumn, do you have anything you want to share? You are just so pretty over there. I'd love to see you talk.
My internet keeps going in and out, so I don't know if you notice I disappear and then I have to sign back in. So I've missed a lot of things, and probably the thing that I missed in the beginning is you talking about what witchcraft is and what magic is. And you maybe already said this, but I want to say that it's really all in the perspective of the viewer. If you go back 100 years, simple things like creating a tea for your sick child to drink would have been considered witchcraft in many countries. And it may have been just fine here in the United States and no one would think anything about it. But if you were in Nova Scotia, you know, you would have been obviously a witch and you shouldn't be alive even. And so it's really perspective about what witchcraft is. And nowadays, you know, even how you decorate your home, some people would say is a witch. I remember some visitors came to my home once and I had a whole bunch of stones on my mantle of my fireplace. And they said, "What are those stones?" And I said, "Well, they're crystals." "Well, why do you have them?" "Because I believe that they have healing properties." "Oh, so what you're saying is you worship stones." "Well, we don't believe in worshiping anything other than God." And I sat there for a minute, I was speechless. And I said, "Who do you think made the stones?" You know, I was just like, I was baffled by, you know, maybe ignorance is the wrong word, but just, you know, a lack of curiosity. A lack of curiosity, like Kim was saying, her research is the thing that brings her the joy. So if you see a beautiful crystal on someone's fireplace, I would want to know what does it do? What healing properties does it have? Rather than jumping to the conclusion that you're doing something like worshiping a false god. You know, and so it's the perception of each individual person and the ability to come down, not down, but come to their level, I guess. And True, you were saying this. We forget that 30 years ago, we asked those questions ourselves. And so we need to come back to that space. Well, what does that rock do? Why would you have that? And be able to say, well, here's my experience of the stone. This is the stone that I chose to hold in my hand when I had my daughter, when I went through childbirth. And it called negative energies away from the experience. And my daughter's heartbeat was reacting strange and they were worried and afraid that they might have to start me. But when I took hold of that stone, and I put my intention into the stone that everything would be fine. Everything would work out well. And my whole body calmed down. And I knew in my heart that everything was well and perfect, just as it is. That is the power of the stone. So that's just my 2 cents on, you know, perception of what is witchcraft. It's different to everyone. And it is helpful and brings us to the light if we use it right, if we use it correctly.
Yeah, and speaking of those light pathways, you know, I find it interesting, an idea that came to me, I don't know, a couple of years ago, where I started talking and speaking to people in some of the groups that I talk in about dark pathways. And the idea of a dark pathway can look like a lot of things. Like Autumn said, it's the perception of the perceiver, you know, a person looking. But, you know, a negative thought is a dark pathway. Taking yourself into I'm not enough, or projecting I'm not enough onto somebody else and making them not enough, that is a dark pathway. Continually having opinions, fixed points of view, and judgments about the way other people live their life, that's a dark pathway. That's not for you to decide what other people do. I don't even, you know, even to the idea that you're their parent. Once you've done your contract of raising your children, you are no longer in control of where their life goes. As that soul, they have the light and the knowledge and the wisdom and the journey that was determined for them before they came through you as their parent and that vessel. And yes, you develop a friendship, and that's where the light is. But when you're trying to control anybody, control is another dark pathway. And sometimes the things that we think we're helping with, and that it's light and we're doing good for other people because we believe it, so they need to believe it too, you know, and we're forcing it on them or we're controlling that, that is another form of darkness. That is not the way of light at all. The way of light is to live your life the best way you know how to live your life. And if somebody wants to know what you're doing or you share it and somebody says, oh, that's really cool, that really works for me and I want to know more, that's taking someone into a light path. That's taking and keeping yourself into a light path. So for me, I feel that dark pathways have a new identity in my mind than what they used to have, you know? And so working through the light and working our magic with our intention is the most empowering thing we can do for ourselves. So how about anybody else? Have you got some comments? We have a few more minutes left for our hour. I'd love to hear some other questions or some other ideas.
I just have, can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I just have a couple questions. When you were talking about clearing space, I've been getting ready to move back to Utah, and so I've been going through some things and clearing out some stuff, just generally clearing boxes of, you know, financial stuff you don't need from years past after you've waited so many years and stuff. But I also have been coming across some boxes full of some things that belonged to my husband that passed away. And as I'm going through these items, literally in my, at least to me, in my head, I'm hearing him say, you don't need to keep that anymore. And I've carried these around since 2005. And honestly, I at that point had such a hard time letting go of some of these things. And yet now literally hearing him saying, no, you don't need that anymore. It's okay. You can let that go. I came across the whole guest book from his funeral and all of the cards. And in my head, I'm hearing, you don't need that anymore. But at the same time, you know, other people are like, you should really keep that. And it's not like I feel like if I clear so many of these things that he will be totally gone, and I won't. And I must say there are times I definitely feel him within the walls of my home, even though I share it with my current husband at this point. I've never noticed him to be a deterrent. He's been actually recently a very large source of strength, not, you know, anything that I would feel bad about, I guess you could say. But we are divorcing currently. But my deceased husband has just been backing me. But as far as clearing that space, I don't know if I should want that influence in my home or whether I should just ask for it to leave. It's something I haven't had around me a whole lot up until the last about 4 or 5 months. He's been back again. And yes, I know he's been around occasionally, but I don't know if getting rid of these things means he's going to be leaving, or I know that I don't even know what to even think about it, especially recently with everything that's going on. He's just been a very large influence lately, and I don't know if by getting rid of these things, whether I'm just grasping for straws on some things, on some guidance, or how, if I should clear things out, or if I should just allow him to be present. Does that make any sense?
I think we're going to have two answers, because I can feel Autumn has some input on this, and I've also got some input for you. The material things that you have here are not what's keeping your connection to him whatsoever. He's made they're never really gone. They're just out of the body, and they are always around us. You know, the body is the veil. The body is the veil that keeps us from connecting to And actually, you know, and it's also our belief that we can't see dead people, you know. And so in that sense, I don't feel like that getting rid of those things is going to make him go whatsoever. But I know Autumn has some stuff on that because of her expertise in feng shui and holding on to all that. So I'm gonna let her go there.
Sorry about that, Bang. I had a cat that just knocked that iPad right over.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like, oh my gosh.
yeah, it's
Sorry about
great. Yeah, I am. I'm like sitting here. I want to answer that.
Go right ahead. Please do.
So spirits are, like True said, they're always with us. They have a connection to us. And just because they leave the earth doesn't mean they love you any less. And you carry your love for him, even though you remarried. You had good times and you had bad times. And we all have things, you know, physical things that get left to us by deceased parents, by deceased children or spouses, whatever it is. And you know, there's not a right or wrong answer about do you let things go or not. What you keep are the things that serve you now, that bring you the happy memories, that remind you of the things about your relationship that was positive. So my suggestion to you would be to go through those things one at a time, hold them, and connect to that item and ask, what does this do for me? Does this bring up sad memories? Okay, so the funeral, when you hold that in your hands, does that bring up sadness? Do you remember the day that you buried him? Do you remember the day of the funeral? Does it serve you going forward? Only you can answer that. But each one of those individual things, I would say, hold them, ask them, do you serve me going forward? Does this bring me happy memories or does this bring me sadness? If it brings you sadness, it's time to let go. And then whittle those things down to a manageable size. So it might be one box, it might be a vase, it might be a box, you know, a decorative box. One of my recent clients actually did lose her husband, and I helped her clean out some of the things in her home. And she whittled everything down to a beautiful decorative box of happy memories that she had with him. And then I had her put that in the section of her home that represents ancestors or helpful people. Now, helpful people can be those people who have gone to the other side or who are still living. They can be spirit guides, they can be angels, they can be deceased grandparents, they can be your deceased husband. In her case, her deceased husband has been gone 3 years, and she's ready to move on and find love again. And he's in her corner, helping her find who is the right person for her, because he wants her to be happy. He wants her to move on. It's time. She did her grieving. She has this box of possessions that she has determined, you know, bring her good, happy memories. And she made an altar for him. And she put his picture up there, and she goes to him and she asks him, who do you know? Who are you going to help me connect with? You know, help me find my way to the future that I'm left here to do something important. Help me find my life path. Does that help you at all?
Yeah, it opens up a little bit more explanation as to why I would get the impressions I was getting on a bunch of the items, and I kept hearing, get rid of that, get rid of that. So
yeah, it's not the thing, it's how the thing makes you feel.
Right. It's the things that it brings up that honestly, if I hadn't seen it or touched it, I wouldn't have even gone back there. It wouldn't have been a conscious thought, you know, without having seen that item. So
you want those things to propel you forward, not you dragging them behind you.
Right. Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen, and thanks, Autumn. Okay, so ladies, we like to keep our commitments to the time frame that we said that we would, and we're just a couple minutes before 9. I just want to take a minute for some of you who may or may not have seen or heard or know anything about Soul Spark 7 and the Sisterhood Tribe or the Sister Tribe. It is a subscription group, and Autumn and Star and myself, we teach every single week, every single day actually, new information that gives you tips and tricks and ideas to run your intention, to do your magic, to tap into your feng shui, to understand what the stars and the moon are telling you. The list is endless. And we do this in this private group that is subscription, priced at $17 a month. It's just auto withdrawal from your account, like through PayPal. And you can sign up by going to our website, soulspark7.com/thesisterhood. And we have this fun group. Many of you that are on this call, a few of you on this call are part of this group, and you're learning a ton. We get so much good information and feedback. So if you don't believe us or don't believe me when I'm saying that you will get value of $17 a month, trust me, or you don't trust me, talk to some of these girls because they're part of this. Ask questions on the Soul Spark 7 page. And as promised, this is no kind of sales pitch, just an absolutely, an offer of information so that you understand what we do, what we're about, and what we have to offer. And I believe that sometime in the month of August, we will do another call like this so that people can come on and get to know us in real life, in real person, for the comforts of their own home. And then we'll just, continue to move forward building our tribe. You're all important to us, and we so love the work that we're doing because it brings so much passion and joy to each of us. And we just love you for being here. So thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Hope to
great
see
night.
you all soon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.